Who needs NFL playoffs when you have the marquee event of the weekend, Michigan State Spartans hosting Illinois? Yeah, this is going to be a big one. Let's go.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, also Illini Nation. Welcome to another crossover here of Locked On Spartans, Locked On Illini. I'm the host of Locked On Spartans, Matt Sheehan. Over there, Sunny Verma. And Sunny, last time we talked a little bit before a football game, and that's.
I don't mind going back over that if you want to.
Okay, I do.
The result of that. Okay, should we just focus on the best? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We're smiling for the first time in years about athletics here because our Michigan State Spartans, we've won 10 straight games for the first time since 2018. And, well, you guys are not perfect in Big Ten play. Let's just cut to the chase. This is going to be a heavyweight battle. 100%. You guys are incredible. Top 5 according to Torvik. I know Ken Palm has you guys up high too, but let's start the conversation here because you guys have already swallowed 2 losses in Big Ten play, trying to get back on your feet, so to speak, even though you beat Indiana by 4 skrillion points, I think the final score ended up being. But what would a win mean for your Illini on Sunday?
It means everything. Matt, at this point, as you mentioned, Illinois is already 2 behind in the loss column. Mm-hmm. If they lose on Sunday, you're talking about being 3 behind Michigan State. And if Michigan State continues being the team that they've shown to be, well, all chances for the Big Ten Conference title are pretty much out the door. So Illinois at this point, with the loss, again, 2 losses, and quite honestly, it's 2 losses that you shouldn't have, right? Sure. USC, you had Kasparis gone, so circumstances were a little bit different. And Northwestern is a rivalry game, and rivalry games, different weird stuff happen. Yep. But regardless, that puts you behind the 8 ball, and now Illinois doesn't have any room to have a dud here or there anymore. And so Michigan State, for me, I think Illini Nation, we all look at it as a way for us to showcase. It's our first chance, first opportunity. Well, it depends on where you put Oregon to really go up against one of the other top teams in the Big Ten Conference. And Illini Nation, we're pretty confident. We really do like our team. The metrics really like our team. And I think Sunday is going to be the first opportunity to prove it.
How could you not be confident after that game at Assembly Hall? And I know that Indiana, they're sputtering would be a very kind word to use to describe that situation down in Bloomington. But you guys are rolling. You guys have a fantastic freshman guard. We'll get more into the weeds about the Illini and my Spartans later on here. But I kind of feel the same for Michigan State. 6-0 in Big Ten play. We've thrashed a lot of these teams so far. But a lot of people have pointed out, too, it's not the most competitive to open up Big Ten play. Yes, they've got a handful of road wins. They beat Northwestern on the road pretty handedly. They beat Ohio State late. They smashed Minnesota over the head with a hammer, but who doesn't? I feel bad saying that. Poor Ben Johnson.
I feel bad for my Gopher friends.
I feel so, I genuinely feel bad for them, but I'm trying to, actually see this team win a real credible game here. That's the C word I'll use. Let's get some credibility here. Look, we know Michigan State that we have a good team, if not really good team. You beat Illinois, and if you do it in a fashion where it's never a doubt the whole way, which I don't expect personally, but if you do it,
sure,
you're not just very good. You are a great team. You could start absolutely dreaming about a Big Ten title. You could start dreaming about a 3 seed, 2 seed in March. That, it would mean a lot to stay ahead of you guys in the Big Ten chase, keep pace with Michigan, of course. But man, this would open up our eyes into that 4th dimension dream world of okay, Izzo's got a team that can just make some hay in March here. So we're going to learn a lot about this team.
I'm going to confirm what you just said. Speaking as a non-Spartan fan, I think the showing that the Spartans put up on Sunday will either legitimize or delegitimize whether I think the Spartans are going to be contending at the end of the conference. As you mentioned, the schedule, UNC, Minnesota, Nebraska, Oakland, Florida Atlantic, Western Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Northwestern, Penn State. You're talking about maybe 2, maybe 3 of those teams are going to be going to the tournament. So it's not really necessarily a gauntlet, but you guys have been taking care of business, right? Illinois has lost 2 of the weaker games that Michigan State is blowing their opponents out. So, if Michigan State, even it doesn't have to be a blowout on Sunday, but if they just show a competitive nature, they win by 5, 6 points. I'm very curious to see what the spread's going to be. I'm very, very curious to see what that's going to look like. But I think you can really legitimize the Spartans as, a front runner in the Big Ten Conference with that win.
Mm-hmm. No question. And, speaking of spread, this isn't the official FanDuel line or anything. We're going off the computers right now, and we're recording Thursday afternoon just for full transparency. But right now, the computers over at barttorvik.com, they have Michigan State favored. It's a huge spread. You ready for this big number here? By 0.1 points. Wow. They suspect a 78-77 victory for the Spartans, a smooth 50% chance. So it might be a pick 'em. They might favor in home court a little bit more in the sports book. You might see the number at -2 for Michigan State. Regardless, does that sound right to you, that it is going to be this razor thin, the true definition of a coin toss game going into Sunday?
100%. I think we're going to talk about this later. Roster-wise, I favor Illinois' roster, and I think there's a couple mismatches in the Illini's favor. But you guys have it at home. You have Tom Izzo. I'm just going to say it. Usually when we play Tom Izzo at Michigan State, that we're fighting the referees a little bit too.
Let's go.
So we're wondering
if
there's going to be some foul issues going on. I think it's going to be close. Like, you guys also do really well the thing that Illinois prides itself on, and that's rebounding the basketball. The Spartans are also very good at it. And so for me, that's going to be the key matchup. If you don't show me the box score at the end of the game and tell me, hey, who won this game? Don't show me the score. Just look at the box score. First thing I'm going to look at is team rebounds. Whoever I think has the higher team rebounds is going to win that game.
You ask us Michigan State fans about how the refs have been so far this year, even in the midst of this 10-game win streak, even when we have nothing to complain about. Like, the reverse card was played on us at home against Penn State. I think Penn State shot, 88 free throws, I think I read somewhere. It felt like even more. But on a real note, we're going to see, because both teams can get to the free throw line very well. Like, this could be a 3-hour and 45-minute game based on all the fouls 100%. Called in this one. Like you just said, rebounding is also sensational for both these teams. Arguably, or maybe not even arguably, the two best rebounding teams in the conference. I'm interested in Tomislav Ivičić, if I'm saying that somewhat right, the 7'1" guy you guys have against our front court. It's been a while since we faced a real formidable front court opponent. But the battle within the battles, from everything I just named, from rebounding, getting to the free throw line, the front courts, is there any of those three that really pique your interest the most? Or is there something that I didn't mention as it pertains to this game on Sunday that you're really looking forward to?
No, again, I think you're 2 for 2 here. I think Ivičić is the guy who could be the difference maker in this sort of game. The one clear advantage Illinois has is size, almost at all positions. I believe we're the second tallest team in college basketball.
Only right second? Now. Wow, that's crazy.
I believe they're the second tallest team in all of college basketball right now, or maybe just P4. And essentially, Tommy's, he started off the season fantastic, but once Big Ten season hit, his numbers have noticeably been going down a little bit. But he stepped it up against Indiana. I believe he had 17 and some almost a double-double. He kind of is a walking double-double. But if Tomislav can assert himself as being a potential all Big Ten big man, the guy's 7'1", 260 pounds. And I know technically he's a sophomore. It's his first year in college basketball, but he's 21 years old. He's played against men out in Europe. This Big Ten physicality isn't something that's new to him. I think if he can, shoot a couple threes, once he hits 2 or 3 3-pointers as he did against Indiana, this Illinois offense is almost unstoppable because everyone on that court can shoot, and you've got a 7'1", 260-pound guy in the middle who can hit bunnies for you. So I think he's going to be the key. If he plays like he's been playing up until Indiana, I think Michigan State absolutely has a shot. If Tommy gets off to a hot start, then I think it really starts to sway over to the Illini side.
We're going to get more into the weeds about your Fighting Illini here in a hot second, and then we'll flip the script. You'll grill me about my Spartans here, but first, we got to talk to find people's ears off about Prizepicks. This message is brought to you by Prizepicks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prizepicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prizepicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all the football action. Right now, for playoff time, point blank, there's no better time to get in on the action with Prizepicks, and here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on at least 2 players, and if your picks hit, you could win up to $1,000 times your cash. That's right, 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. Like right now for this upcoming weekend, keeping it simple, 2 picks. Lamar Jackson, more than 250 passing yards, and Travis Kelce, more than 70 receiving yards. It's fun to predict, easy to play, and with Prizepicks Flex Play, you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Well, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, just $50 for playing. It's that easy. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prizepicks. It's Prizepicks. Run your game. Sonny, I was thinking the other day as I'm watching you guys bring a sledgehammer over the head of Mike Woodson. Is this Brad Underwood's most talented team at Illinois? And certainly no shortage of candidates. You guys have had individual good players, really great teams over the last few years. Is this the best, though, you think?
Depth-wise, it absolutely could be.
Okay.
The difference between last year's Elite 8 team is you had Terrence Shannon Jr., and then you also had Marcus Damask. Right now, I don't know who the Robin to Kasparis's Batman is on this team. But, when I say I've been watching Illini basketball for almost 30 years, Kasparis Jakushonis is the most talented freshman I've ever seen. And, there's a reason he's shooting up to, I think the latest mock draft, I saw him at the top 3 NBA draft pick. This kid is absolutely legit. He controls the floor. He's this is such a lazy take, but I can't help it. And maybe you'll confirm when you see him on Sunday. He plays like a 3-inch shorter Luka Doncic. Doesn't look athletic. He doesn't look like he's gonna run you out of the building. Right. He creates space and he knows exactly enough at what angle he needs to take shots. He's fantastic. Also, the other difference between this team and last year's team. This team plays really good defense. And I'm not saying top 25 defense. I'm talking about top 15, top 10 defense in the country. And when this team can go out and score 90 points with their eyes closed, if they're also playing top 10 defense, the ceiling is, unlimited at this point.
I'm glad you brought that up because I did have jotted down right here. You guys are top 5 in opposing field goal percentage, holding teams to 27% from 3 and a smooth 43.5% from 2. So it's been fantastic. Now, you've talked about Kasparis. I'm not even going to try his last name, even though I listened to it 10 times before recording to coach myself how to say it correctly, but that's already flown out the window for me. Let's say that, other than Tommy, you're 7'1" guy. Who else? Who would be that third fiddle, I guess, on this team that we have to keep our eyes on? Who's been playing hot recently for the Illini?
Again, I say this very humbly, but it could be multiple different guys.
It's the same situation over here, so you could say that humbly too. It's great. I get it. You
guys run even deeper than Illinois does. I absolutely think that you guys run deeper than Illinois does. I think we have a little bit more top end talent. In our 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, when it comes to the depth of roster, I think Michigan State is actually the deepest team in the Big Ten Conference. But to follow up on what you're saying, Kylan Boswell, right? He played 2 years at Arizona. He's really come on as of late. I think he's really settled into the role as the guy next to Kasparis, where he can just focus on locking up whoever your best offensive player is on the wing. Kylan's got him. Kylan made Mark Sears check himself out of a game. He's done, I forget the Tennessee kid's name, but he did the same thing to Tennessee's leading backcourt guard. Trey White, another guy we got from Louisville this past year. He's just completely stepped it up. I believe in Big Ten season, he's averaging about 14 points a game himself. You never notice it. It's always the quietest 14 points. Brad Underwood talks about it. He never runs a play for Trey White. It's simply one of those where at the end of the game, you look at the box score, Trey had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Just very quiet. And again, we can talk about Will Riley, who's kind of struggled as of late. He had the hot start at the beginning of the year. But between those 3 guys, Tommy, Trey White, and Kylan Boswell, those are probably the other guys that you're looking to supplement what KJ is going to do on Sunday.
So just to swing it back to the defense here, because that's obviously going to be one of the keys of the game. You guys have been playing not good, maybe not great, just an elite level of defense so far. How does it work, Sonny? How about that for a nice, really thought out question? Why is the Illini defense so good? Is it just individual players you want to point out? Is it just the whole cohesive unit? But what is making you guys so locked tight on that end?
Everything. In the sense where, last year's defense was so bad because we were trying to fix squares into circle holes,
sure.
Right? This year it's different. Kylan plays point guard, and we have a natural point guard this year. Last year we did not. Kylan knows his role this year is to focus on defense. We've got enough shooters. We've got enough scores. Kasparis himself is shocking me with actually how good of a defender he is. Now, granted, he's like average, maybe slightly above average, but the tape that I saw when he was coming over from Europe, I thought for sure that would be a hole. Trey White is essentially Ty Rodgers from last year, who can also score. Meaning he's a tryhard. He'll dive for the ball if it's on the ground. He plays really good defense. Thomas Love, 7'1", 260 pounds. That in itself, and he's very much a vocal leader on defense. If any of your Michigan State fans happen to be Chicago Bulls fans, I doubt it, but he reminds me of Joakim Noah back from the Derrick Rose era.
Gotcha.
Just kind of very vocal, the quarterback. Ben Hummerkaus, the number 4. He gotten a lot of flack, especially particularly earlier on in the year, because it's very noticeable in the eye test that if the opposing team basically backs you down and backs Ben Hummerkaus down, they usually score. But it's kind of by design, because essentially, to basically finish your question, Illinois is built on making you earn your 2-point shots. Mm-hmm. They're not going to let you shoot 3-pointers. They're not going to give you bunnies next to the rim. If you take some time off the clock and, you take a jump shot, but our hands are going to be in your face, arms are going to be extended, you're going to have to earn those 2 points. We'll trade you your hard-earned 2 points because we're going to run across to the other end of the court and try to hit a 3 before your defense gets settled. And that's kind of why, Matt, Illinois has already won 2 Big Ten games this season by more than 30 points.
Right.
At Oregon, we beat Penn State. Quite honestly, we could have done it against Indiana as well if that scuffle didn't happen at the end of the game where everyone decided to, empty their benches and just hey, let's just go home. It could have been 3 Big Ten teams that Illinois had beaten by 30-plus points already this year. And that's why we'll trade your hard-earned 2 for our easy 3-pointer on the other side.
So obviously no question that you guys are very talented. You guys have a lot of aspirations for the season, but when you put your head on the pillow every night leading up to this game, what's the thing that's going to worry you, Sunny? What's got you a little concerned about this team, regardless of how good the talent is on both ends here?
I told you, right? The second tallest team in college basketball. It's also the youngest team in Power 4.
Gotcha.
And you watched Illinois basketball last year. You're not going to recognize anybody on this year's roster because there's only one guy coming back, and that's Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn. Everybody else, Brad Underwood. Quite honestly, the job he's done has been completely masterful, replacing 10 rotational guys and having a basketball team which is arguably better than the previous year. That was a very veteran team. And again, the one that finally got over the hump and to the Elite Eight where, eventually they lost to the juggernaut that is the UConn Huskies. But, you have days like USC, right? If Kasparis in particular is not there, the offense, it's just a little bit more lackadaisical. They're trying to figure it out. KJ, as good of a scorer as he is, he's an even better playmaker. And for that reason, when he's out and Kylan's in, now Kylan can't just focus on the 3 or 4 things that make him a really good basketball player. He's got to focus on all the obligations of a lead guard. And I just don't know if he's at that level to be able to do that. But it's certainly the youth. One day we can score 95, like I said, with our eyes closed. The next day, they look like they're playing a bunch of 18-year-olds on the court, and it's clearly evident.
Really quick before we flip it and you start talking about the Michigan State Spartans and I try to come up with some answers here. Mady Sissoko, he transferred out. He's at Cal right now. He obviously had that hard foul against Ayo Dosunmu. For some reason, Illinois fans didn't like that back in the day. Are we good, though, now? Now that he's out of the program, or is this, still bad blood between the two programs? Where are we at? Shoot me straight, Sonny.
I mean, there'll always be bad blood, but now that he's not here, obviously, we'll see how much Illini Nation will forget. I mean, Illini Nation,
probably not.
They're their own, a different breed of animal, especially online. But even the rivalry now I feel like there's mutual respect between Izzo and Underwood, but I feel like those are 2 of the big candidates for Coach of the Year this year, and Brad Underwood, the one thing that's always eluded him is that Coach of the Year in the Big Ten Conference. So. Yeah. I would say it's Jeremy Fears, right? That's another little added storyline to that. He was being recruited by the Illini, and then, for whatever reasons, everyone went separate ways. He's now at Michigan State. His younger brother was committed to the Illini, and now he's down at Oklahoma. So there's a little storyline with that family. It's Big Ten. The rivalries matter, and, it's all in fun.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah,
kind of, yeah, ish.
78% all in fun. I think, yeah, that's a good way to cut it right there. All right, guys, we will be back in a hot second. But first, hey guys, from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, for the new customers, this gets even better because new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. Like sometimes on the rare occasion I hit a bet, you get paid out even before the commercial break after the game rolls around. Like they are quick, swift over there at FanDuel. So no waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I can feel my heart physically racing when they have us talk about NFL playoffs on FanDuel because my Detroit Lions, I'm going to lose sleep on that. Then quick turnaround. About 18 hours later, this basketball game, this could be a very unhealthy weekend for me. But enough about my problems, Sonny. Sorry, went on a.
I'm a Bears fan. I have zero interest in talking about NFL right now.
I get it. I understand. I get it. I've lived it for about 30 years of not wanting to talk NFL, but now I'm proud. Now we're ready. So.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk, Matt. Let's talk about your Michigan State Spartans. Usually, whenever I do these sort of crossover episodes, obviously Locked On Illini Nation is also watching. I like to give you the floor for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Tell me what Illini Nation has to look for. What kind of team are the Michigan Spartans?
It's a deep team. And you know what? At this point of the season, the theme with every game is that, okay, Jaden Akins, he's going to have his 15-ish points per game. Now, who else is going to stand next to him and produce? It could be Cohen Carr any given night. It could be Jace Richardson off the bench. It could be Frankie Filler like we just saw. You get the point, but it's always the staple of Jaden Akins offensively and defensively carrying the load too. That's going to be a great matchup between him and Kasparis if they're paired up together. Regardless, that's where it's at. So that speaks to how strong of a season Akins is having so far, because all we've known in his first 3 years here is very up and down, up and down, up and down. He's been smooth, consistent so far in that two-guard role so far. And, well, it also speaks to the depth of this team. Just like how you guys are deep, we got 9 guys that have averaged over 15 minutes per game so far this year. So it's not depth just because, oh, God, we're just trying to figure life out. Oh, it's actually legitimate. Everyone's that good to play kind of depth. It's so fun to smile watching Michigan State basketball again, Sonny. I haven't done this since 2020. This is great, man.
Yeah, you mentioned 9 guys averaging 15 minutes a game, and the 10th guy is averaging 13.9.
Right.
So he's right there,
I know.
At the door. So, again, rebounding is the number that jumped out at me because, again, going into almost every single game, Illinois has only been out-rebounded twice this season, and they've lost both games. So, of course, that's going to be a key factor. The size is clearly on the Illinois side on Sunday. How do you think that Michigan State can kind of make up for that size?
Jackson Kohler has been doing kind of how we talk about the Illini defense, how it's not just good, it's not it's elite. Jackson Kohler at a smooth 6'8" or 6'9", depending on what pair of shoes he's wearing that day and how many socks he's got on. He's undersized, so to speak, but he is rebounding at an elite level when it comes to offensive and defensive rebounding percentages. If you go back to 2008 when this stat started being tracked on Bart Torvik, he will be the best Spartan in both metrics if he continues the path that he's on. So it sounds silly, but you know what? Yes, you guys have the length, but we just keep seeing Jackson Kohler produce on the boards. And, of course, he's getting help from Shimon Sapala, 7-foot transfer from Longwood. Carson Cooper gets in there as well. Cohen Carr is athletic enough to muddy up the water. So it is a team effort, of course. But you guys you mentioned that you guys have only been out-rebounded twice. MSU only once so far, and that was early in the season against Kansas. So, this could very well be the key to the game here, and I like where Michigan State stands, even though Illinois, just like we talked about, does have that length and that size and that physicality, because it sounds so stupid, but yes, just that rah-rah, can-do attitude from Jackson Kohler can get it done, baby.
No, I can see that. So, again, 10 deep, arguably 10 deep, in my opinion, the deepest team in the entire Big Ten Conference, certainly the deepest team in the top 4, and we can talk about that later, that's contending for the Big Ten Conference. But who would you say is the heart and soul of this basketball?
I think it's the guy who we ended last segment with. I think it is Jeremy Fears at this point. And yeah, like Jaden Akins, he's the guy that's producing at the highest level on both ends of the court. One could argue, or maybe not even argue, but Jeremy Fears, like he's just what this team needs, right? And like maybe it's not like statistically so much better from our point guard situation last year, but what you can't put in a box score is the leadership, the moxie, all those cliches that actually like really do mean something. And if you're a Michigan State fan that hasn't learned that by now after the last few years, then I just don't know what to tell you. But he's got that dog in him. Like, how about that for some hard-hitting analysis? He's got that dog, Sunny. So he's a calming presence on the court. He's aggressive when he needs to be. He's great at distributing the ball. So I truly do think it is Jeremy Fears. It's just what he does at both ends of the court and what he means inside that huddle, too. I
got one more question for you.
All right.
Tom Izzo. Obviously over the last couple of years, the Spartans are, the Spartans fans at least were, I wouldn't even say hot seat, barely warm, but there were some questions about, hey, is Tom willing to adapt to what college athletics and not just basketball, football is slowly adapting into? Obviously, hot start right now. Tell me about the mood around Tom Izzo.
It has changed drastically, and there are some people in the Michigan State fan base, a very vocal minority that sure, like they did want him gone because that's just society now. Like
there's Illini fans who want Brad Underwood gone right now. Believe it or not.
Now that's what I'm talking about right there. That's
the internet.
Now we're doing takes. All right. But you could also, and this is the camp that I was in, you could be disappointed with how the last few years were, and also very worried if this is going to be sustainable in the new era of college basketball. And, he's defiant. I'm going to do it or die trying. We're also going to do it my way. And I'm like, oh, my God, here he goes again. This guy's nearly 70 years old, another guy that just isn't going to change his ways. And, oh, my God, it's actually working because you're seeing the continuity of this team really be the key here. Like the guys like Jaden Akins, the guys like Jackson Kohler, for example, who easily could have been shipped out in the offseason. But just keeping those guys around, keeping that culture in East Lansing while still utilizing the transfer portal. That's one of my favorite, myths, so to speak, on Michigan State basketball. It's like, oh, Izzo hates the portal. He got Tyson Walker. He got Aaron Harris before the portal was even a thing. He got two guys out of the portal. That he does the portal, but he also makes sure that he puts his guys first and plugs in those holes. Well, when there isn't anyone in his program, like the lack of a big wing so far. That's why they got Frankie Filler. The lack of someone that's 7 feet and can also catch a basketball. Okay, that's Shimon Sapala. So he's doing it his way, and by God, I'm very glad I'm wrong about that so far because it's turning out pretty well for old Tommy Izzo here.
So, Matt, you may or may not agree with me. I see 4 teams that have a legitimate chance at winning this Big Ten Conference. There's no Purdue like last year, right? I don't think there's a juggernaut. There's no elite team. But 1 through 18 now, I think there's a lot of good to very good teams in the conference. I see it as a top 4. Let me know if you more than 4, less than 4, and how you would handicap the Big Ten Conference.
You're not going to hear an argument from me because I do think it is 4. Who are you? Because obviously us too, Michigan State, Illinois. Unfortunately, we got to group Michigan in that mix. 4th team, it's Purdue until otherwise. Exactly. Oregon is on the outside looking in, but I do think it is a 4-horse race right now. Yeah.
So, what do you think of your guys' chances? Again, I mean this respectfully. When it comes to Michigan State, I think they've got the least amount of ace players, superstar type of players of those 4. Obviously, you have Braden Smith, you have Golden, you have KJ on our team. Michigan State, I don't know if they've got the alpha that the other 3 teams have. Where would you, if you had to handicap the race, how do you see it right now?
Can I answer this question at the end of February? We can do that in Locked On, right? I can punt my takes down the road a few weeks. I think that the higher.
I would think it'd be funny to replay this in February when we play again.
I do. I would be shocked if they go into March without at least, games where they can share the conference title. I've said all offseason, even at the start of this season, I think 13-7 can win this conference. Now that we're almost a third of the way in, I think it's going to be closer to 14-6. I say 15-5. But here's what we're talking about here when it comes to Michigan State. We talked about our schedule so far. Hasn't been murderer's row in the Big Ten. But, man, when that calendar flips to February, it's the road swing, USC, UCLA. And I know that both teams are – but still, that's West Coast travel for a college team. Then Oregon, then Indiana, if they could wake up their corpse or what's going on. At Illinois, home against Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland. That is where we're really going to make our hay here. So right now, as we're in a 10-game win streak, perfect in Big Ten play, bludgeoning, I think, for the 6 teams that we've played so far. I am confident that Michigan State can compete for this conference title still, but we're going to get a lot of answers Sunday.
Exactly.
And,
that's exactly what I was
week
going to
after
say. I
that.
think, Sunday is going to tell us a lot about where both teams are headed towards. Illinois at some point, I just did in my episode on Wednesday was I do think that Brad Underwood is more focused on March than he is the Big Ten Conference. You'll notice that the reason we have these 30-point blowouts is because, sometimes we still have the starters on the floor with 3-4 minutes left. Why? Because Brad Underwood's playing to that net ranking. He knows that ultimately that's what matters to the committee, once they're putting these matchups together. So, that Sunday matchup, I can't wait. It's the first matchup between 2 of the 4 teams that we just got finished talking about, and I'm looking forward to it.
I actually just refreshed Torvik right now, and the spread has already swung. Sonny, you guys are now favored by 0.1 points. Look at this. What? Someone is hearing our conversation, and they're like what you had to say about your team over there. So there we go. The computers have already been swayed. But no, guys, again, no official line out yet. Mm-hmm. But do you have a prediction, Sonny, or are we in the prediction game here, or do we only do lukewarm takes?
It's up. Honestly, if Illinois plays the way they're capable of doing, I think it could be close to a double-digit victory for the Illini.
Okay.
Away games don't matter to them, right? They went into Oregon and Indiana, and in both stadiums, they broke the record for scoring from the opposition. But Michigan State is such a well-coached team, and they've got such a deep roster that, if our shots aren't falling, they can absolutely keep it close. And if somehow Kasparis gets into foul trouble, as I said, Illinois kind of panics close to the end of the game. If Kasparis is in, we feel pretty confident. But if he's not and the shots aren't falling, I absolutely think the Michigan Spartans can come out with a victory on Sunday, which would be almost a kill shot for Illinois and their chances of winning the Big Ten conferences.
That's what we want to see. No, right now for my prediction, because of what just happened Wednesday, obviously they beat Penn State, but they did it in kind of an ugly fashion, and Izzo was very upset after that game, talking about how horrible the defense was, how he takes full responsibility. So, I think it is just boot camp for 3 days leading up to this game at practice. Totally. So I like where Michigan State's at. They're rolling, and just on the outside of, the defense is going to be tightened up a little more. I think Michigan State, 78, Illini, 74, in a stunner as they lead into NFL divisional playoffs here. So, but again, this is the game of the weekend. Let's not get it twisted. I know my Lions are playing. There's other NFL games, but this is the marquee matchup that we're looking for. Sonny, thanks a lot for your time. You're the best one, man.
I appreciate you, Matt.
All right. Hey, guys, you'll catch us here, Locked On Spartans. You're going to catch Sonny over there, Locked On Illini, after this game on Sunday. Now, hey, let's all go have a great weekend. Even you Illini fans. That's right. I love you guys. That's right. I was born in Illinois. That's right. All right, guys. But hey, that's Hinsdale. Stand up. Let's go, baby.
All right. That's
15 months of my life. That's right. So, all right, guys. We'll see you.